A few months ago, I was trying to find a simple way to create sounds that are endlessly moving, that are never looping back upon themselves and always changing. And during this process, I stumbled upon a really interesting concept being we can do less in an arrangement. We can have a more simple and minimalistic arrangement and have our tracks stay interesting and kind of arrange themselves because of the endless movement. So I wanted to show you this concept of endless modulation, how to create it with some examples so you can apply it to your own creative process. So on the journey from idea to finished track, what we're going to be doing today is right here. It's pretty much right at the start. Experimentation goes at the start, and that's because if we do it over here, kind of means that we have to force ourselves towards an end result. I'm not saying you can't do it there, but if you do it at the start, then it kind of just takes the pressure off. And if we get something good that comes out of it, we can just decide to turn that into a song. But I bring this up because this whole process, start to finish, all of this is really important to know. It's important to be clear on how you get from idea to finished track and all of the little steps along the way, right? Otherwise, it's pretty hard to get here. And that's why I'm hosting a workshop. It's called Play It Loud, and it takes you through all of these steps. All right, this is editing Luca. This video is kind of a little bit old, and I'm currently editing and posting it. The workshop has already happened. It was a lot of fun, but I'm redoing it and then launching it again next year, at the start of next year, probably be at the end of Jan. So if this is something that's interesting to you, if you want help to build your process so you can finish the ideas that you have and actually go all the way through to releasing something with structure, it's going to be available via waitlist only, and you can sign up to the waitlist in the top line description. Awesome. Back to the video. Sorry for the interruption. Endless modulation. Here we go. A modulator. That's something like this, an LFO over here, and we're assigning that thing to a target or a destination or a parameter, and we're going to be mapping it to something like this, and then now the filter is going to be moving like this, right? We can notice that. It's not endless, it's just kind of cycling over and over. If we slow things down, then it's really hard to notice that it's moving. What's something that moves really slowly? It's kind of like a plant growing, like one of these guys back here. It's hard to notice them actually doing anything. It feels like they're just static all the time, but they're constantly moving. They're just moving so slowly that we don't see it. That's the same thing that happens when we have really, really slow modulation. Slow modulation might look something like this. You can see I've got a sine wave here, but it just looks like a straight line, right? That's because the rate is set to 0.09 here. So I would say slow modulation is anywhere kind of in this range here, 0.1 to 0.01 hertz. And the slower it is, like we mentioned, the less noticeable it is when it's moving over time. Here's another example, and this is kind of the default that I'll use all the time. This is a triangle wave. You can see that here. This is very slow. So it's 0.03 hertz. Somewhere between 0.01 and 0.04 is really unnoticeably slow. And I've got a triangle here because that means that we're spending less time at the minimum and maximum values, and we're just kind of linearly moving up and down. If we've got a sine wave, we end up spending a lot of time up here and a lot of time down there and less time in the middle. You can also see I've just reduced the mod range here so it doesn't get too out of control. Great, so slow modulation. That's a great tip, Luca. Thank you for giving me that information. I could have figured that out on myself, probably. But the thing where it gets interesting, when you add multiple of these slow modulation devices to the same sound, then it very quickly becomes like this endless movement. It's hard to notice exactly what is changing, but just everything is kind of changing all at once. And it keeps a track that is very repetitive, interesting over time. So here in this example, I've got 3 LFO devices. And I think that if you have about 3, it very easily becomes endless. Maybe I could draw this out as something like this. I don't know if this is going to help or not, but we've got one like this, and maybe we've got one like this. You can see how the cycle length can be so long that they're never going to align, and they're just always going to be doing different things. It's a very simple concept, but it's really fun and really usable. So all you need to do is these 2 things. Number 1, you just need to find some mod targets. So that's just like twist some things, mess with some parameters, find what sounds cool. And then number 2, you just change the different modulation rates and also the ranges on that specific parameter to what sounds good. And voila, we've got some endless modulation. And then if you're to like times this by 3, so 3 different source sounds that are all endlessly modulating. If we have our kick and our bass line that are like static and still, and we have these 3 things that are endlessly modulating, that gives us a nice contrast between having some core foundations that are rhythmic and are gluing you in there, and then having some endless movement on top that's just doing its thing. Let's look at some examples in Ableton. This is a track that I was messing around with the other day. Everything here is looping. In fact, if I did this, this would be the exact same thing. There is no automation going on. Let's have a little listen to the things that are moving. We have our kick and our bass that are very static and still, that they're not doing anything. They're looping on like a bar length. Our first thing here is just a simple hi-hat. This moving. It's got this LFO on the decay. Very useful sound. You'll find that I use this all the time. Let's have a listen to this. This is just affecting this filter here. Why it is quite interesting is that when the filter comes up, it passes into this echo unit, which also has a filter, and it only echoes the frequencies up here. So it doesn't really echo anything when it goes down, but when it comes up, it gets caught into this echo device, and then you hear all the echoes ring out. So it's a little combination of these 2 tricks here, and it's a really cool effect. So you can see that brought it up very intentionally there. This works really well if you macro things out. You can have your target parameters set over on the side from anything which is in this group here. So you can, I've got a little mix knob, this alien talk knob, which is like a resonance on this filter freak. And then I've also got this second sound. I can't remember where that's going. And I would say that this is a pretty simple example overall. Didn't spend a hell of a lot of time putting this together. It just kind of came together naturally, and I thought it sounded good. All right, let's put this into practice and kind of do what we've been talking about. I have got an LFO device. Let's just set it to a triangle and put the rate down. Maybe put the mod range to about 10. Duplicate this a few times. Maybe I'll just put this rate up a little bit, 0.03. Maybe we can do a 0.01 really slow. We could do one that's a little bit faster, 0.05. Maybe I'm going to change the waveform to stray. You can see that these are all cycling on different lengths. So this is the track that we're listening to here. It's another loop. We're just working on this dubstep. And I'm just going to use these macros over here to map these LFOs to. Let's just twist some things around and see which ones we want to use. Okay, I want to use decay. This one on the decay. Let's do one on the filter as well. Maybe one on delay. This one can be a little bit larger in range. Oh, I like that. Oh, I really like the filter movement there. Let's keep going. Let's take this a step further. I'm going to create a little rack here that has some processing involved in it. And what I'm going to do here is use one of these chains to create a bass layer. If you've got no idea what I'm doing here, essentially just splitting the audio. This is pretty much like having 2 different tracks in one. So this audio is splitting equally into this and this layer, and then I can process them differently. They combine back together. So this bass layer, I'm going to listen and try and get a nice groove that works. It's giving that like second hit. So it's got a nice, I just want those 2 hits. That's all I care about. In fact, we can probably bring this delay down because otherwise we're catching all the delays in here as well. Now let's use this to create some echoes on top. Let's go in here to notes, 16ths. I know that 7's an interesting rhythm most of the time. This one I'm going to set to 100% wet because it's just going to be delays. And the name of the game here is just to get more LFOs moving really slowly. If If there's lots of LFOs just constantly moving slowly, then we will get a lot of endless movement. So this one, let's turn the rate all the way down and turn the LFO amount up a little bit. And this is just going to be modulating how much high end there is going into this filter here. So you can see it's just slowly moving. Maybe we could turn the rate up a little bit. I'm going to put a raw after this echo device here. Raw is fun because this feedback mode here, you can crank that and get a little bit of a delay out of it as well. So if I do this, oh, let's create another chain, put another echo unit in there and change it to be different to the other one. So I'm just experimenting around here. Let's go 16ths and do something else, 5, and change this filter a little bit. Maybe we could just do real mid-rangey. You can also add another different effect to this one. Let's try and put it on 4, why not? All right, let's hear what we've got so far with the other sounds as well. And then this makes it really fun to arrange because I can just do very simple stuff by just taking a kick out, boom, just waiting for a little bit. And then maybe I could fade this hi-hat out and then just simply put the kick back in. Kind of has a little bit of a life of its own, which is really nice. I want my music to have its own life. Music has feelings too. Okay. I didn't record an outro of this video, but you can see how you could apply this technique to anything that might be static in the background to give it a little bit more life. Any device or instrument or send can benefit from something like this to create a little bit more background movement, which will really help with your arrangements. But the arrangement is not done by any means. There's still some really important concepts you need to know that you only need to learn once. That's the thing that people forget. So you should watch this video here. That's going to teach you those concepts so that you can take these creative ideas and actually turn them into finished tracks.